Morning, everybody. So good to be here. Must be honest, sometimes it's not so good to be here. Sometimes it's a bit rough doing this thing and showing up. Yesterday, I was doing a live Tabitha, and Zoe was here on my head and like doing things while I'm trying to be very serious to the whole world. My kids like on the back here, busy with me. So that wasn't a
I
good
saw
time.
that and I loved it because it just makes life real, right? Like we're trying to do what we need to do, but we still have to parent and we still have to show up. So I give you credit for showing up with Zoe on top of your head. So I give you 10 out of 10 for that, Kenneth.
Bev, do you have anybody that's going to be on top of your head there, your side?
No, I'm quite safe. I'm here alone, so it's fine. Nobody on my head or my shoulders or bugging me from behind. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Awesome. So everybody, we've got Bev here with us this morning. We've got Tabitha with us. It's so awesome to have you with us, Bev. This is not your first live with us. You've done one or maybe two before. I can't remember how many.
One.
But it's
one, yeah.
One. So it's good to have you with us. So everybody, Bev is working with Grace Online. She's a full-time counselor. She's absolutely phenomenal in what she does. I think world-class. Everybody in the organization is world-class as far as I'm concerned. But this morning, we're going to talk about something that's very serious and very important. That is anger. And if not anger, then rage. You know, what's the difference between rage? And I said it this morning in the ladies' meeting. It's that place where I want to take a knife and just cut someone's head off, you know, just giving myself over to that blind rage, that power inside that feels violated and that is struggling, that just wants to get outside. So maybe we can talk a little bit about anger and rage and what it is. What does it feel like? I think everybody knows what it feels like. Maybe there's some examples from this morning's meeting. What is it that you guys would like to talk about this morning regarding what we did with the ladies section? The ladies group.
Yeah, I think for me the big thing that came across, I wrote some notes down because the information was just so valuable, is that like a lot of the ladies were saying the feeling of anger was like a defense mechanism, you know, it was something that they were using to protect how they were really feeling, you know. And I think, Bev, you mentioned, and that just resonated with me, is that when we're so angry, we isolate ourselves and we push people away from us, right? Because we're so angry that we just don't want to deal with that emotion. And I know for myself in my life, I tend to do that, like when I'm angry about a loss. Like I remember, you know, losing my dad and my mom being so sick right now. Like I'm so angry, like that. And you have to be conscious of the fact that you don't push people away when you're feeling that way, but you're rather drawing to those relationships and the support structure that you have, because it is easy just to say, I don't want to have anything to do with anyone. No one understands how I'm feeling. But that's really just a lie from the enemy, right? There are people out there who understand and are empathetic with our situations, you know.
Isolate.
And that's
there's an isolating force in anger.
Yeah. And, you know, someone very valuable to our organization mentioned this, and I was just like, oh, that like hit the nail on the head. It's masking the sadness, the pain, and the grief that you're feeling. So the anger to the outside world obviously doesn't look pretty, right? Nobody wears anger pretty. But actually deep inside, what is that person saying? They're saying, I'm so hurt. I'm so sad. I feel so overwhelmed right now that the only way for me to express myself is in this manner. And something that you said, Bev, which I think we tend to forget about, when we don't deal with that, it leads to possible depression, you know? And that place is just so dark and so lonely and so isolating, you know? So it's sort of like the end phase of not dealing with all of those emotions. And that really stood out for me today, because often, you know, we judge people for their anger and their behavior, right? Like one of the ladies was sharing this morning, she had an incident in the parking lot where the lady was just screaming and shouting at her, and she said it was a teachable moment for her with her sons, where she just turned and said, you know what? That lady's obviously not having a great day. She's obviously hurt and she's sad, but obviously a lot of us don't behave that way, right? The first reaction is like, why are you screaming at me? Like, this was my parking, you know? But it's so true. All of these moments are so teachable in our lives. And I've just learned so much this morning about, how to process my own feelings that I have at the moment of disappointment and anger at the circumstances I find myself in. And it's not easy, right? Because it's easier to be angry. It's easier to blame the world. It's easier to say, I'm not going to take responsibility for all these feelings. But, what so many people shared this morning, it's about letting go of that control that you're trying to control other people. I think Maria shared with us, and that was just so valuable, that all these years she's been using anger as a defense mechanism to protect herself from situations that she would find herself in with people close to her that she found a little bit challenging to deal with. And I think that we all find that stuff. And I also made that comment to Bronwyn to say, it's so true what she's saying. It's just so much easier to not deal with the pain and the sadness and just to okay, I'm going to steamroll this over. But we all know that steam train will come back to catch us, right? It does like a loop. And when it comes back for us, it's a horrible situation to find yourself in. So yeah, that's what I took away from this morning, Kenneth. And again, just realizing, reach out to the right people in the place that you feel safe and the place where you feel validated, that people can understand you. That just resonated with me this morning. So thank you for sharing those valuable points, Bev. You like a Pandora's box. You've got so many valuable things inside. You can open it up and you have another answer and another answer and another answer. And I love that about you. So thanks for sharing that this morning.
I've been called lots of things before in my life, but not a Pandora's box. But I'll take that as a compliment, Davin.
It's a compliment one, Bev. It's definitely a compliment. I know people use it as a bad representation, but I don't see it that way. It's all about perspective, right? So when I open you up, there's so many beautiful things inside, okay?
No, that's fine. Thank you. That's great. As Kenneth also said in the meeting, and it's also about what this Rage Stack tool is all about, that Kenneth has introduced to the program, and it's all about perspective. And the anger often comes from the way I'm seeing a certain thing, and the rage comes from that particular perspective. But if I can get that perspective changed, then it becomes so different, and it becomes so powerful. I suddenly see the world and the problem in an entirely different way. And that definitely brings me back into, we didn't mention this in the session today, but we've talked about it before, because we have an emotional mind and we have a rational mind. So when we're in our emotional mind, obviously the rage and the anger and everything is just filled up our emotional mind to the hilt. And then when we can try and work through that and process that, then we can come back into our rational mind, where we become logical, we can see things from the different perspective that we should be seeing it from, and we can calm our emotions down, and we can then sort of feel more in control in a good way. So that's also something to always be cognizant of is, am I in my emotion?
I
think Bev got stuck in a emotional mind there.
In the emotional mind. But yes, I think what Bev was just saying there, Kenneth, is just so valuable. It's like having perspective, and that's such a hard thing in life, right? Because when you're faced with these challenges and all these overwhelming emotions of disappointment, especially with what a lot of what our ladies go through, finding out their husband has betrayed them, and so forth, it's hard. It's hard to have perspective. I battle to have perspective. I don't know about you, but it's hard sometimes,
Yeah, no, it's super difficult, very hard. So I always, this morning when I spoke in the meeting as well, I just mentioned something about, the plastic that's outside there, this toxic plasticity that's just everywhere. Everybody's just always happy. Everybody's just always, presenting the good side and, bo blink onder stink type of thing, stuff isn't always as good as it seems, and even at church, you go to church, it's always some sort of happy sermon, or, it's not to criticize,
like a motivational talk. Sorry,
life is hard and it's difficult, and we need to be connecting with people in their pain and in the difficulty that they're going through. And obviously Jesus is the is the solution and the answer to this, you know. But often I just feel so frustrated in that, like, we don't show the stuff that's going on, you know. And whenever I do these live streams, I really try and connect with my own emotions, and I try and be as real as possible. And I don't always get it right. But yeah, like you said, it's all about the perspective we take on things, you know. And this morning in the group, I shared about Jesus hanging on the cross, you know. And when I talk about it, I sort of feel emotional, because it was all about vulnerability. I mean, there's nothing safe about hanging naked on a cross after being beaten into a bloody mess, you know. And we don't talk about the pain often. We don't talk about the sore stuff that people are going through, and that hurts my heart, because it feels like we're not reaching the pain that people are supposed to be bringing to church. Or is church just supposed to be a place where everybody's happy? I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, that's a very hard topic for me to answer, because you know my personal capacity, my experiences. But yeah, at the gut of what I want to say is, I think we touched on this in our live last week, is that, you know, putting plasters over a sore doesn't heal the sore, right? It just masks what is actually happening underneath there. And last week you were talking about when you divided us into those 3 groups, and you had a lady in your group who said, I had the gun at my head and I just wanted to give up. And you said the whole group just went in there and validated where she was at. And I think so many times in life, instead of we're just sending a message of saying, and I think you and I chatted about this earlier in the week, when someone passes away and someone says they've gone to a better place, and you and I were both like, stop saying that to people, because for that person right there, where they are at, they don't feel that way. They know that their loved one is in a better place without pain and without suffering. But where that person is right there in the pain, in the loss, they don't want to hear that, you know. And I know that our intentions are good, and I'm not saying people's hearts aren't good when they say that. But like you're saying today, if we just took it one level deeper, Kenneth, and met that person right in that pit of heartache, of pain where they were at, what a different world this would be. Like you say, instead of masking everything and just, you know, putting everything under the carpet and posting like, I've got this, you know, you're going to get through this, instead of just saying, you know. And that's something I've learned from you recently, where I say to people, how can I support you? Where are you at? Because maybe the support I think they need is like a hoorah, I'm your cheerleader, you're going to get through this. But maybe it's just a matter of, Tabitha, the fact that you're asking me where I'm at. That's all I needed to know. I needed someone to know I'm not coping. I needed someone to know I'm not making it, you know. And I think that what you're saying today is what the church and all of us should be about, is meeting people where they are at, meeting them at the pain that they're at, and maybe just sitting there like you did with those ladies last week. You know, you just sat in that lady's pain, and when she came back into the group session, you could see the relief on her face, because for the first time, people just said, I'll meet you where you're at. I hear you. You are not alone. You know, and I think that that's the role the church should be playing. I think that's the role that organizations should be playing, not just masking it and telling people to be motivated all the time, because that's not what life is about. It's about dealing with those deep, painful, hurtful things, to say, you know what, I'm going to sort my life out once and for all. I'm going to fix these things once and for all. So when they come again, I'm not going to find myself in the pits. I'm not going to find myself there again. And that's what I feel the church should be doing. That's my take on it, Kenneth.
Yeah, I think who's the villain? The villain's not the church. The villain's this porn addiction thing that we're fighting. That is the devil that we're trying to get to. And that thing will not be addressed if we are not real, if we're not honest, if we're not willing to go into the pain. That thing will not change. You know, so if I think this is not about criticism, it's about let's just be more real. Let's be real as possible. Bev, what's your thoughts on the plasticity of the world outside there, maybe more in general?
Oh, Kenneth, I was
you
just
didn't hear some of the conversation. Yeah, I know you dropped off, so we're just throwing you in there. Say whatever you want.
Okay, no, that's fine. I was going to say I had a bit of a rant with you before the session started, and it was all about the plasticity of society and what social media has done and obviously with the effect that it has had on people and societies in general, because people portray themselves very often, I'm having lunch here and I'm doing this and then I'm doing this, and it's all very glamorous and beautiful, and it sounds so flashy and fantastic and successful. But how many people of those are really, really feeling that all the time? A lot of those people are just broken. We're all struggling. We all have problems. We all have issues. It might be financial, it might be health, it might be relational, how we interact with our families. Very often it's relational. And our relationships are breaking down, but we cover that up with all kinds of lovely gimmicks and things on social media, and it looks so good on the outside, but inside people are crumbling. And if we could be more real and really just find the safe spaces to talk in and to share. And that's what I think Grace Online is so beautifully designed to do, is to be able to, where people can feel safe to share and know that, as Tabitha said just now, to know that they were heard and to feel validated, because people's emotions don't get validated on social media and society. People just get brushed over. And we said one of the sessions beforehand, they kind of want to move on with their lives. They don't want to enter and feel your pain and just sit with you for a while, and then hopefully both of you can move on. But it's very sad how society has become plastic and artificial and superficial, and it's just, it's we need a safe space to be able to unload and to share.
And then, like lastly, in conclusion, Bronwyn spoke this morning in the group about some emotions that she's scared of. And I think when you say this, I don't think it's because people, I think they feel the weight of the pain that they're going through. I think they're scared of facing the sadness and the grief and the loss and the pain and the irritation and the frustration. And we don't want people to think less of us. I don't want people to think less of me. Frankly, I don't care what people think lately, but there's that sensitivity. Don't want people to think less of me. So we're scared to show them who we really are. How are you doing? No, fine, thank you. Everything's wonderful, perfect. Say that. So we don't want to be scared of people. And I think everybody feels equally scared. And in the process, in this process, we're missing it big time. So,
but the joke about the acronym for FINE, Kenneth, and that is FINE. And there's an acronym that says when we're saying we fine, is actually something much deeper. So we can say the F stands for friggin', and then I is irritated, N is neurotic, and E is exhausted. So when we're actually saying I'm fine, are we really saying those things? Because very often that's actually what's going on underneath. But because we have to portray this mask of everything's okay, or I'm angry and I'll keep you away from me so I can protect myself, whatever it is, when we say we're fine, are we actually saying that?
Sure, that's very good.
Just some food for thought,
Very good. Okay, ladies. So what is it that you want to challenge our audience with today? So if we could challenge people with one thing listening to this, what would it be? What would it be from you, Bev?
I would want to challenge people to be a little bit more self-aware, because we're so rushed in life and there's so much happening and we got so many commitments and things. We don't actually realize what we're feeling or what we're thinking, because we're just too rushed. And to be self-aware means you've got to stop for a moment and just say, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? And what am I going to do with that? So that's just, I think, my challenge for today.
My challenge for today would be to accept that your emotions are valid. What you're feeling is valid. If you're feeling angry, if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling hateful, if you're feeling revenged, what you're feeling is valid. I don't think we have to act on what we're feeling. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying acknowledge and validate the fact that you're feeling, that you're a human being, that you're going through stuff. What you're going through should not be avoided. It's valid. Maybe you feel rejected. Maybe you're feeling angry, lonely, lost, confused, hurting, whatever it may be. What you're feeling is valid. Don't need to act on those feelings, but you need to get them validated because they are valid. For you, Tabitha, you get to have the last word today.
Oh, thank you. Now, actually, in my book, when we were doing this morning, I wrote on the one side all the stuff I took away from all of you amazing people. And then I said, I want to live my life intentionally And then I wrote down 8 points to say how I'm going to do that. So not just saying, I want to be a better mom, but how am I going to be a better mom? What am I going to put down to make sure I'm a better mom? And then I say, if I decide something, how am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? And how am I going to do it better? So I've like put an action to it, because often we make a list, right? And we like, want to be a better wife, want to be a better mom, I want to be a better worker. But how am I going to live those things intentionally? So I've written 8 things down, and my challenge for everybody today is live life intentionally. Life is short, but when you live intentionally, have the action there, because it's easy to have lists and we never get to the list, right? But if we say, I'm going to call Kenneth every day for a week because I want to intentionally let him know that I care, then that's how I'm going to live that action out intentionally. So that's what my takeaway is. So thanks for that, Kenneth.
Awesome, ladies. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you all soon. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in and listening to the end. If you made it this far, that's been a 20-minute broadcast. We wanted to do a bit longer. Hope you found some more value in it. Hope you also have a fantastic weekend, and may you experience the presence of God in your life today and tomorrow and the rest of the week. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.